My name is Adrienne Piazza, and I'm the Associate Director for Student Engagement and the Director of the Bonner Scholars Program in the Bonner Center for Civic Engagement here at the University of Richmond. Typically, my office is on the main hallway of the Tyler Haynes Commons, right in the heart of campus. These days, I'm joining you from a spare bedroom in my house on the south side of Richmond. But behind me is a mural that's on the side of Charm School, which is one of our favorite local ice cream shops. So I'm trying to give you a little taste of Richmond since you can't be with us today. Today, I'm going to try to answer 3 questions for you right off the bat in my presentation. The first is, what is civic engagement at the University of Richmond? The second is, how does it distinguish a UR education? And the third is, how can you start getting involved? So who are we at the Bonner Center for Civic Engagement? The Bonner Center for Civic Engagement prepares students for lives of purpose and connects student, faculty, staff, and community stakeholders in social change efforts that value the knowledge and potential in our communities. Overall, when we share this mission, we are not thinking about volunteer hours completed, although we celebrate our volunteers all the time. We are about building a sense of purpose that is bigger than oneself. We want you to connect your academic studies to the common good, no matter what major you are exploring, what you hope to study, or what career field you hope to enter. We hope that you leave the University of Richmond knowing how your vocational and academic aspirations can contribute to positive and structural change. We don't mean that all UR students and alums should work for nonprofits when they graduate, but that they all have the skills to be active citizens, which is so important in all of the communities we live in. This has ranged from joining the Peace Corps to joining Deloitte Consulting, from teaching to entering graduate programs in dentistry. Wherever our students go, whatever our students go on to do, it's important to us that they have a strong sense of their civic identity. I'm going to talk through a few student profiles. I wish that everyone could be here with me tonight, but I'm going to try to do their stories justice. So the first I would like to tell you about is Emily Onifer. Emily graduated in 2017 as an environmental studies major. She studied the environment from bus lines and transportation systems here in Richmond to the beaches of the Cook Islands in the South Pacific. She volunteered at a local farmers market here in Richmond, and she pushed her skills even further to curate an exhibit at UR Downtown about transportation today and tomorrow, thinking about environmental studies and transportation and the overlap for our city. Michael Johnson, in class of 2019, was studying leadership studies and philosophy, politics, economics, and law. Michael saw a need and filled it. He recognized a need for male mentors in our city and working with our local youth. He recruited his peers and started a student organization, the UR Mentoring Network, that still goes on today. He spent a summer on a funded internship through a civic fellowship with the Virginia Governor's Children's Cabinet and came back to campus that fall and led a CCE Brown Bag discussion, which I'll talk a little bit about later, and kind of used his skills in that way. Lena Torrejon is our most recent graduate. She had a series of amazing internships throughout her time working in local government, state government specifically, and local nonprofits. She represented the University of Richmond as a Newman Civic Fellow, and this spring she led her peers on campus in an open mic in response to incidents that are happening around the world. She weaved through those experiences her passion for women and leadership and equity. So Will Walker is a class of 2021, so I hope you all get to meet him. He's a leadership studies and English double major. Will has served in a variety of capacities, as you can see on the screen, but really is cultivating a passion for equity in higher education, and this summer is working with 2 local nonprofits and remote internships to continue that work. So this is a map of the city of Richmond. One of the primary ways that we seek to connect students and to build skills is by helping students and faculty make meaningful connections in our region. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what that means, what those connections are. We value connections that are diverse, that involve faculty, staff, peers, and community stakeholders across a wide range of social issues, from arts and culture to refugee and immigration, to education, public health and healthcare, across the board. We value connections that are sustainable, and by this we do mean in some ways environmental sustainability, but we also mean that when you connect with a community organization through the CCE, most of that time that connection is a part of a long-term relationship with UR, which means that your individual act, whether it's a Saturday at a community garden or a semester committing to a mentoring program, or 4 years with an organization, they all amount to something greater, that there were likely UR students there before you, and there are students there after you, and our staff helps to bridge that relationship over time. We value connections that are reciprocal. The most important thing that for you to understand about civic engagement at UR is that we approach this work with the belief that there is a tremendous knowledge and potential in our communities. We work to promote an ethic of community engagement that is based not on serving and certainly not in saving, but rather walking alongside and learning from and with our community leaders and our community members, who I hope that you get to meet throughout your time at the University of Richmond. One volunteer reflected on his work at a local high school by saying, "Community service was redefined for me at John Marshall High School. Students needed me as much as I needed them. It became a two-way relationship and taught me humility and patience." Civic engagement at the University of Richmond is both broad and deep and open to all. It's broad enough so that you can explore numerous social issues, so that you can test out your skills in different areas and learn about many organizations. And it's deep in that we will walk with you as you build relationships with community organizations and deepen your understanding of issues that matter the most to you. I'm going to do a quick tour of some numbers. We are still calculating our numbers for 2019-2020, but this is a sampling of some numbers that we know and some that are a little bit older. So we have over 80 sustained relationships with community organizations. And what this means is that there are these organizations that our staff meets with regularly, that we have relationships with their staff, that students are serving in some way, and we work through cultivating opportunities for students to engage in those organizations as well. Last summer, we had 17 students who were awarded civic fellowships to work in a nonprofit or government agency while engaging with a faculty member. Those, I mentioned Michael Johnson served in one of those, and so did Emily as well. So those are a way to get a funded summer experience and have a close relationship with the faculty member. I'm going to pause real quick. I noticed some people are raising their hands. If you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to see the Q&A box, and you can put some questions in there, and I'll get to them as soon as I'm done. So the other number on here is that we're in 2018-2019, almost 1,500 students, so that number on the bottom, participated in one of over 150 community-based learning classes. And those are classes in which the faculty member integrates the community into their course. That could be through guest speakers in the course. It could be through a project. So for example, we have some accounting courses who spend time working on income tax returns for local residents. We have arts classes that do performances in the community. It could be through volunteering. So there's children's literature classes that connect with reading stories to young children throughout the city. Or it could be through study trips and visiting museums and hearing from curators and learning more about the exhibits there. So they take a wide variety. So how will you actually get started and find an opportunity? I'll first say that the CC staff and student advisors are available to talk with you one-on-one starting now about your interest and to help match you with an opportunity that may be meaningful for you. We also use an online network called Spiders Engage, and this is an online database where volunteer opportunities and events are posted by area organizations, and you can search in a number of different categories. This is what it would look like. So you can type in keyword searches and you can see organizations. This is a screenshot from a couple years ago. So the dates are old, but the opportunities are still active. They get updated every semester. In Spiders Engage, you'll find opportunities that are ongoing, one-time, DIY, and self-guided. Ongoing service is service that continues throughout the semester, and volunteers make a commitment of their time to community partners. So you would be going to the same organization each week at the same time to serve there. One-time service, it is an event that occurs once and usually involves working with one of our community organizations. And you could do a series of one-time events. So we have regular one-time projects that happen at some of our local historic cemeteries to do some cleanup. There are James River cleanups regularly. There's community garden days. There are sometimes events at schools that people need one time, and so you can string those together to have multiple experiences, but it wouldn't be the same experience like the ongoing, where you're doing the same thing each week. DIY service might be ongoing or one time. In most cases, it happens on campus and usually involves completing and finishing a project for a partner with some combination. So this might include things like packing hospital to-go bags for our local hospital hospitality houses. We have made written cards. We've built furniture. So these are projects that we bring those supplies to campus. We work on them there, and then they benefit an organization. And then self-guided service happens at your own pace. This can be an awareness campaign, letter writing. There are some of our organizations who need ongoing transcribing and archival work, so that's done digitally on a computer. The other thing I will add here is that when we transitioned from in-person to remote learning a couple months ago, CC staff worked to gather remote volunteer opportunities as well. So we spent a lot of time listening to our community organizations as they were making the pivot to remote work as well, and we listened to their needs as we do throughout the year, and we'll continue to do as we prepare for the fall, and hear what they need, and then you engage university resources, often volunteer support to help them meet those needs. So one of our most common questions is, how will I get there? This is a quick slide to tell you a little bit about some transportation options. So we do engage with Uber to get to some of our sites through a university account. There are service shuttles, there's public transportation options. So these are all listed here. But I will reiterate one more time that checking in with one of our staff advisors is a great way to get started and help navigate and figure it out. We know how to get there, and so we'll help you figure out the timing and the route and all of the things that you need, but it is certainly possible to complete your civic engagement and volunteer work from campus without a car on campus. If you want to get to Richmond and get used to Campus First, which is totally understandable, you don't need to sign up to volunteer right away. So it's not something you need to commit to doing in September and commit to your whole time. You can come in and out of it as your time allows and your interests change. You could first take some time to learn about the city of Richmond. Every one of us on the CC staff, including all of our student leaders, have a favorite place to eat, a favorite place to view and enjoy the James River, a favorite hidden spot that represents Richmond to them, and we love to talk about them. So as you're preparing for your weekend activities or exploration, certainly stop by and visit with us. We also spend time each week through brown bag discussions. So that's what this slide is about, talking about issues that are of importance to campus, the Richmond region, and the world. And this is a great way to get connected to civic engagement and just learn to understand the place that will be your home for the next 4 years. We hope that you will come by and say hi when you can. We are available virtually all summer, so you can certainly connect with us that way before you come to campus. We are on Facebook and on Instagram at Spiders Engage, so you can see updates from us there, and we'll do some student spotlights and updates throughout the summer. The other thing I will say about getting connected when you first come to campus is that there are a number of student organizations that see civic engagement as a part of their world too. And so that is a great way to build community and to get connected as you're first starting to explore. That is our website, and like I said, our Instagram handle, and that is my name, which I'll include in the chat too when we're done. But I definitely want to open up the opportunity for questions now. So if you have questions, you can pop them right into the Q&A box, and I'll answer them as they come in. So the first question came in that says, can students get trained as EMTs at UR? And though it is separate from our office, there is a student organization called UR EMS that is connected, that is part of campus. And so students are trained as, can be trained as EMTs and then can respond to incidences on campus. There is also a local volunteer rescue squad, the Tuckahoe Volunteer Rescue Squad, that students have served with as well. I believe that this question that just came in, how long does it take to earn the credentials, is about, it's an anonymous attendee, so I'm not sure. So I believe it's also about the EMT question, and I am not sure about the answer for that. But if you want to send me an email and just kind of flag for me that you asked this question tonight, I can work to find out from UR EMS what that process is like. So the next question is, are the local Rotary clubs involved with the school? And you know, we often hear from students who are entering that they were connected to local Rotary clubs in their home communities. They are not directly connected with our office necessarily. There are Rotary clubs that are connected with campus as a whole, and some of our School of Professional and Continuing Studies students are part of local Rotary clubs, so we've helped connect with the opportunities that they have available occasionally. So there's some connection, but it's not a direct connection with our office. They are very active throughout the city, though. The next question is, are there any current connections with the autism community in Richmond? And we do have a few community organizations that we work with that are connected with the autism community, and there are a few student organizations that would overlap with the same population as well. So you could get connected with those organizations that way if you wanted to work specifically one-on-one with the student, or to participate as a buddy, or to serve in a school setting. This is a great question, Matthew, about how do students on the pre-health track get involved with community service? And the answer is the same way. So we have a number of organizations in Richmond that are connected in health. Crossover Ministry Healthcare is a really popular one for our students, the Health Brigade, the local hospitals, our hospitality houses. And so depending on the area of health you're connected with, we can help you make that connection. We work closely with the pre-health advisor and the healthcare studies faculty and the faculty in Gottwald to think about the opportunities that need to be available for students for healthcare based on the track that they're on. So there are different needs or different interests for different graduate schools depending on what you're hoping to study. So dentistry, pre-vet, med school, things like that. And so the classes, sometimes it makes it harder because you're taking a number of lab courses, so it can be hard to balance the schedule. But we can certainly help you think about what makes sense for you during the school year, what might make sense for you during the summer, and how you can navigate getting the hours that you need for shadowing, and then also to show some civic engagement and service on your application for graduate school, if that's what you're hoping to do. It's also a great way to get a sense of a clinic setting, or if that is the work, and to confirm that that's the work that you're hoping to do in the future. So we have had students work in a dental clinic at Goochland Cares. There's working right in the room with the doctors, students who work as medical scribes. EMT was an option that came up before. So all of those are available options. The hospitals are a little bit harder to get into, so that one, as a volunteer, they have a little bit more of a process, and so we usually recommend planning that a semester in advance to start serving in the hospital. But the other organizations, our portfolio of healthcare organizations is definitely growing. There's a new clinic that opened up on the east end of the city, and so there's more and more opportunities in that space for SIM. But you would get involved the same way other students would, in that we would connect you through Spiders Engage and connect you with the volunteer coordinator. Okay, so do you find that most community service is arranged individually through your office, or is it organized through various clubs that you might join? And I would say both. And often what you'll see is that the student organization or the student club that you may join is connected in some way to our office through their student leaders and through the leadership of the organization. And so for example, Alpha Phi Omega is our co-ed service fraternity, has a large chapter of about 100 students, and they have their own organized activities, but they also connect with us about opportunities that happen through our office. There's a student organization called BARC that connects with the local Richmond SPCA. It's very student run and very student driven, but we check in with them occasionally. So, we stay in touch about what they're doing and what they're offering. So if both of those things happen, all of our social Greek chapters have national philanthropy connections, and so they are also cultivating their own relationships, but we go through training with them each year. So our office doesn't hold all of the opportunities that will be available to you, but we definitely serve as a consultant, I would say, to different student organizations as they build their own opportunities for students involved in their programs. Can students wait until they get to campus to figure out which community service opportunity is the best fit? Absolutely. In fact, that might make the most sense. You'll take classes this fall and they might change your mind or pique your interest in something, or you might learn something about Richmond that you want to explore. And so we are happy to have that conversation now, but we are especially happy to have it when you get to campus. And then in terms of events on campus to highlight the choices, we typically do offer volunteer fair or information sessions, a big week of advising, chance to talk to students who are serving in that capacity. So the promotion will certainly exist in the fall, and it will help you get a sense of what you might be interested in and what's available. So you do not need, in fact, you probably can't register right now. Our community organizations are still figuring out what their needs will be come September. And so usually the Spiders Engage opportunities are not updated until mid-August. So you could get a sense of what you might want to do and have a preliminary conversation. But it will take some time to figure out exactly what the needs of the organizations are, and so you would get settled. We typically say that volunteers will start with their organization a few weeks into the semester, so it's not something you're starting the first week or the first day of classes. It gives you a chance to understand your syllabus, to find out if perhaps one of the classes you're taking is a community-based learning class and you want to spend some time figuring out how what you're interested in and what that class is doing might intersect, so that you can put that into one opportunity. So you do not need to make that decision now, and we will be available for advising in the fall every day. So you can pop in and figure out some answers to your questions then. Is service at all incorporated with academics? Yes. So that when I'm talking about community-based learning classes, that's what I mean. So classes in all of the schools, from business school, law school, arts and science, School of Professional and Continuing Studies, and the School of Leadership Studies, all have classes that integrate community engagement and service. So it might not always look like service. It might look like a study trip or a guest speaker or working on a specific project for an organization that you're doing as a class. When it's connected directly to service, direct service mode, it's typically set up in a way that you have to do a certain number of hours for the class, and then the faculty member will probably list a few options for you. So Spanish in the community is a good example of that. The goal of the class is for you to really use your Spanish skills in a community setting. And so there are certain organizations that the faculty member who teaches that course would prefer that you serve at. And so those options are given at the time, and then you can select them. You can still come to our office to help figure out the logistics, and there's some extra support for the courses that are doing that. And so we can help you work through that, and then it would be part of the class that you're taking. What kinds of nature and environmental service opportunities are offered? So we have relationships with a few different environmental organizations. So Virginia Interfaith Power and Light is one of them, the City of Richmond Office of State Sustainability, James River Park System. We have a few food access and community garden organizations like Shalom Farms. So depending on what kind of interest you have, there are organizations. I will say most of them look like hands-on, kind of get your hands in the dirt and learn about gardening and farming in that way, or more like internships. And then there are the ones along the river, which are more about river cleanup or river advocacy, or play and explore the river, kind of getting recreation on the river on the James River here in Richmond. So there are a few different options in that sense. So there's a question here about the Bonner Scholars Program, and I can talk a little bit about it. So the Bonner Scholars Program is a group of 100 students. There's 25 in each class, and those students commit to 10 hours a week each week over 4 years, and then also do 2 summers of service. The application process for the incoming class is the application deadline is already passed, and we've sent out notifications for that. And so that has kind of passed for this fall. There are sometimes opportunities that open up in future years if students leave the program. But everything that I have talked about tonight, in our relationships, transportation support, advising, attending events like the Brown Bags or other events like this fall, we will have a number of election programs to prepare for the presidential election, and then we'll be followed quickly by a mayor and governor race that will be here in Richmond in 2021. So there will be a lot of election programming. All of those opportunities are open to all students and not just Bonner Scholars. And then there are opportunities for funding for students who are not Bonner Scholars as well. So there's like the service shuttle transportation, all available. If you're not a Bonner Scholar and you have federal work study in your package, you can earn funding at your community organization for your federal work study. So that's an option. We can certainly help you navigate that. But if you have a more specific question about the Bonner Scholars Program, I'm happy to answer that either here live tonight, or you can send an email to me directly. Does the School of Business have programs where business students can engage in the community? Yes. They actually have a few really cool programs in addition to some of their faculty members doing community-based learning on their own. Two that they do that are regular. There are student organizations that do consulting work, and so they will take on projects for nonprofits and work as a team of consultants to address the issue or the operational challenges that they're having. And so the students work with a faculty mentor and serve as a team of consultants to help solve that problem based on the things that they studied in academics. So that is very exciting. The other is our volunteer income tax assistance program. And so there are students who are taking accounting who get trained to process tax returns for low-income residents of the city of Richmond. And so they go to UR Downtown, where we operate a volunteer income tax assistance clinic. We call it VITA. And so they go and process tax returns that way. There have also been faculty there for a number of years. There's been a course on statistics where instead of running kind of fake number sets or running statistics on made up sample data, they use data from other organizations and engage in the work in the community that way. So it gives a real life application to the work you're doing. I also know of students who in upper level consulting classes or management classes have done projects for local hospitals. So there's certainly engagement throughout the business school. And additionally, they have leadership honor societies and student organizations of their own who have reached out and have done service as a group together. How many hospitals are located in Richmond where students can volunteer? I don't know exactly how many hospitals there are in Richmond City as a whole, but we have had students who have worked right near campus is St. Mary's Hospital, and it's about less than 5 minutes from campus, and they have a hospital hospitality house. So that is like the Ronald McDonald House. It's called the Reinhardt Guest House. There is also a Ronald McDonald House and an organization called Doorways. So those are 3 different hospital hospitality houses where families of patients in the hospital can stay while their loved ones are getting care. And so we have students who volunteer at all 3 of those on a regular basis. And then in the hospital setting, St. Mary's is the one. There have been students who have served at VCU Medical Center and the Children's Hospital. So I would say those are the most popular, but there are other hospitals in the area that students can volunteer in. But those are the ones that we have the most connections with. Have there been Bonner Scholars who have worked with another organization in addition to the one they have worked with as part of the Bonner Scholars program? And is that too much of a time commitment? So yes, I would say so. Sometimes students choose whether they're a Bonner or not to serve at 2 different organizations, and we work with them to just manage their schedule to make sure that it makes sense. So if you have split interests, you can have, so as a Bonner Scholar, you could have a primary placement organization and a secondary placement organization. So we've had a number of students who serve at a nonprofit during like the bulk of their time, where they're maybe working on policy or awareness raising campaigns for youth at Richmond, and then 1 night a week they're serving as a mentor. So they make that combination that way, and that can certainly happen for other students as well. There is going to be a lot that's going to get your attention when you come to the University of Richmond and around the city that you're going to want to get into and learn about. And so I would say initially take the time to explore, get a sense of what your interests are and see how they might overlap and see how we can help you connect all of those things while also getting your schoolwork done and making friends and getting to enjoy the city on its own. But yes, students have worked in more than one organization. Can students volunteer as a DJ on campus? I'm sure they can. There are other student organizations. In my mind, I just heard DJ and I thought music at a party. So there are student organizations who host a lot of social events, and I'm sure that they would love to have you volunteer to be a DJ. In that sense, there's also a radio station on campus. So if you wanted to DJ more in a radio setting, that's an option too. Neither of those would be done through our office, but the Center for Student Involvement and the radio station on campus would be great next steps to see how you might want to use your skill. If you wanted to DJ and be off campus, I'm sure that there are organizations who are having events who would also love to have you. We've not had that question before, but I would love to help you think about how you might use your skills in the community. Is it plausible for Bonner Scholar student to also be in SMART? Yes. We have students who do that every year, and we will certainly work with your schedule to do that. We will be a short part of URISE this summer if you're doing URISE, and then as you work with SMART, we can help make those connections. We have a few students who are doing that now and are doing their summer research for SMART, and we're connecting that back to their summer of service. So there's lots of integration here. We at the CCE and in the Bonner Scholars Program know that you all are students first, and so we will work in all kinds of ways to make sure that your civic engagement work is a complement to your academic work, and that we can connect those things in a way that makes sense for you. If one is awarded financial aid and has been offered federal work study, can the money that is earned from BSP be used to cover the federal work study? So I'm not sure I understand this question, but I'm going to try to just say some things and see if it answers the question. And if not, you can ask another one. So your federal work study award and the Bonner Scholar Stipend are separate awards. And so you can earn your Bonner Scholar Stipend by doing your Bonner Scholar service, and you earn your federal work study by doing that service as well. So you do the same service and you get awarded that in two different ways. If you are not a Bonner Scholar and you have federal work study, then you can also earn your federal work study money in the community by serving at the organization. If that does not answer your question, again, feel free to ask another one or send me an email and I can answer your more specific situation to you directly. I am glad that whoever is excited about that is excited about that. So yes to you too. The SMART program, I am not going to get all the details right, but it is a integrated science program. And so students who are in the SMART program are focused in the sciences, and they spend a lot of time together studying those things. And it is a time schedule commitment. And so sometimes there's questions about whether those programs can be done in conjunction, but they can. And if you're interested in the sciences, I encourage you to check it out. All right, I think I got to the end of that list of questions. If there are others, I'll stick around for a moment to answer those others that come in. Again, I'm Adrienne Piazza. I'm in the Center for Civic Engagement, and we are not in our office in the Tyler Haynes Commons right now, but we are available and ready to answer questions and help you get ready for the fall. So if you have anything that we can help you with during that time, please reach out. My email's in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, we're just really excited to show you what we love about our city.